I can speak for all of us when I say we love women.
I said I like women! Women!
But do we really? Or are we all just performing for them? Women make up an important part of the workforce globally, in the oil field or the energy sector specifically. But for the energy sector, they take up a much smaller portion. Here in New Mexico, the Permian Basin, of course, women help to power, one of the most powerful industries, one of the most dangerous and profitable industries. They do all this while still navigating issues of recognition, of opportunity, and of course of respect within the workforce, and to the sacrifices they make every day. Yeah, I went and I got a couple interviews, a couple surveys done. I'm gonna be popping in with some quotes. But yeah, pipeliners, electricians, you feel me, line locators. Also did get, they still kind of hit. I won't lie. Some of them get me sad.
Helper, or rig welder helper, I guess. What is it? Heavy machine spotter, equipment spotter, fire watch, and job boss, which would I guess be like the foreman, like the weld boss's helper, but instead it's like the foreman's helper. Timing wise, no, I did not plan in my life with everything. Like just having a baby, my second baby, barely, not even a full 2 months after having natural birth, going out of town and becoming a welder helper and getting hazed like a guy, and having to learn how to live like a man with still having to heal everything and being away from my kids too. And then I was already back on the clock and on schedule, like not even a full 3 weeks after I gave birth.
When asked about the biggest challenges facing women in the oil field, I got answers like it's recurring themes of, having to do twice the work, of people just kind of not trusting. For instance, one of them says, when I point out something wrong, I use my stop work authority for anything. The men decide that I'm a girl, so that means that I got no idea what I'm talking about. And having to do double the work or extra work to get recognized is another repetitive answer I got. It just goes to show, person by person, this is just how it works. The oil field can generate so much money and give so much opportunities to people and families, that are looking for it. Workforce data tells us that men make nearly $140,000 a year average salary, whereas women can reach $120,000. But every paycheck still comes from labor. It still comes from the sacrifices that we make to deal with the long shifts, to deal with missed time at home, missing important family events, missing holidays. Of course, the well over 12-hour days that we have almost 7 days a week, even more than 7 days a week. Of course, that doesn't even count other oil field positions where they're gone even for months at a time.
So a lot of people are actually very nasty. They have nasty intentions sometimes.
To add on it, to not change the topic at all, according to TexasObserver.org, the University of Massachusetts did a study and found out that between 2012 and 2016, the oil and gas industry had the highest rate of claims by women with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. This article by the Texas Observer goes on to give quotes and testimonies by women who, all kinds of other things I could quote that I really don't want to quote because it's terrible and it's sad and it's nasty. Many of the women interviewed for this article said their perpetrators were mainly male supervisors, and most of them said that upper management brushed off their complaints and sometimes even punished the women, the victim, for making these accusations. But to add on to the whole harassment thing is that the higher ups, they will always defend themselves because, on top of, these accusations, how many CEOs, shareholders, presidents, vice presidents do you see actually being arrested or having to serve time or get any type of punishment for a lot of the white collar crimes that they do? The punishment that we see most often is some sort of financial punishment, like having to pay a certain amount of money or whatever, which is nothing to someone who makes a ton of money, obviously, with their higher up position. It's not necessarily a punishment for them. If we do see them get punished, being in their position, they might be let go with a package. They might be let go with the remainder of their salary being paid. On top of that, they're not going to be labeled a felon or nothing. So they can still go back and get another job, which they most likely will on another board and another higher position for another company, just right back to where they were, making a ton of money in a very high up position, regardless of their mistakes in the past. Because as we can clearly see, these upper class people will always have their own class interests, and they won't have your class interests, because at heart they'll always defend themselves. God forbid one of us working class people make a mistake, commit a crime, you feel me, something like the accusations are accusing them of. Immediately you even make a mistake out here, some human mistake, you're stripped of your job that you were living paycheck to paycheck off of. So now you're in the gutter, you're going in debt, you could lose your house, you could lose any access to food that you had, you can lose everything. But again, when one of these upper class people makes these mistakes, they don't experience the same form of punishment that we do. As stated in a lot of these interviews, the upper class brushed off the accusations, so no one gets punished at all. It's just something to think about. Just respect your workers, you feel me? Stand up for what's right, I guess. Maybe start to call out people's weirdo behaviors.
Nobody out there ever really has your best intention at all. Everything's different. You get treated different. You get talked to different. You get looked at different. You get hired faster. You get hired slower. You don't get hired at all. You have to work harder. You have to work just as hard every day just to keep up and just to make it look like you're doing barely enough so that they think you put in just to think that you put in your part. I wish men understood that, like, you know, there's ways men do understand this. They just choose not to, like, acknowledge the fact in the moment. Like, men do very much understand how to approach a woman respectfully, how to address somebody respectfully.
I had to hear, I had to read, I had to see it firsthand. These companies bring in trillions of dollars. I got a ton of my information from this University of New Mexico study. The average oil and gas worker worked nearly 12 hours a day as compared to the 10-hour days of a oil field worker. And one of the dangerous aspects that can't be overstated, nearly 50% of people have said that they had an accident on the job. Out of the people that were interviewed, just kind of pointed out, not everyone out here is single and kidless. I'm single and kidless, so I don't share a lot of the same responsibilities and, financial, social burdens that come with, having a significant other, having children. And 85% of the people in the study do have children. The trillions of dollars that these companies make, it's a shame. It's a shame because the stats that, they found with these studies, that when asked about the benefits received from the companies that they work at, the people of all workers that were interviewed in southeastern New Mexico for this study, only 43% received medical coverage from their job. Even less than that, 21% received any sort of retirement, overtime, and paid vacation. Both only 55% of this workforce of over 70,000 people. 34% got paid sick time, and an abysmal 5% tuition support, and even more abysmal 2% got any sort of child care benefits to their job. Again, I can't overstate the trillions, not just trillions that are being made, but it's profit. It's money made after all expenses. We know a lot of it's stock buybacks. It just goes to show the class solidarity that we need to start understanding, that a lot of these big powerful people in these companies don't really have your interests at heart. Sure, you get a pay raise once or twice a year, but at the end of the day, they're not really taking care of you. They have you to use you for your labor so they can keep generating trillions in profits that, again, aren't going back to the workers. And a huge majority of it is going into things like stocks and bonuses for themselves, tax write-offs for the CEO to buy another house. Be nice with your fellow coworkers, no matter their gender. Belittling another working class person that's going through the same struggles as you, physically, emotionally, financially, they got the same struggles as you do. And the person who doesn't have the same struggles as you do is the one who's putting you in a position to struggle in the first place.
Job doesn't provide nothing for you. They just expect you to show up there at 7. Like, people know you'll be in the hospital in a wreck, and like they'll just be like, "So are you gonna come in?" Because like usually in the places you work are like boom towns, and them places aren't cheap. Going to the gas station in the morning, you spend like $100, They hire a hella immigrants, and they're like, okay, so like your per diem as like a normal person would be like 120. Let's say you don't got papers or whatever, it'll be like $50.
Not just referencing the difference between a male worker and a female worker, but between a, you know, documented and an undocumented worker, because the undocumented labor force doesn't have the same legal protections and has even more to lose, so they're way more vulnerable. Not just in terms of financially, they can just be stripped of their job with no one knowing, but of course just out of fear of never finding a job again, out of fear of never being able to feed their children again, they're more prone to be okay with and to fight through these conditions that, you know, their bosses are putting them through. The vast majority of these surveys were written in Spanish because that's the language that was understood by the person being surveyed, as well as it was the vast majority of the language spoken at home according to the people being surveyed. Clearly and obviously, it's right in front of your face, the vast majority of the workforce down here is some sort of descendant or is paperwork or no paperwork. I guess what I'm trying to say is just, you know, respect everybody out here. You don't know what they're going through. They don't know what you're going through. But we do know, everyone knows, that we're all struggling together. For many women, the workday doesn't end whenever they clock out. It doesn't end whenever they get back home. And even past the already tough labor of working out here in the field, they still have to go home to the unpaid labor, whether it be cooking, cleaning, childcare, caregiving, and all the responsibilities of keeping the home alive. People are still being asked to be away from their families for so long. And even the upkeep of all this unpaid labor, domestic labor that goes on is still, you know, profited by the ruling people, by the big corporations. They're still the ones who profit off of domestic labor because you need to keep buying detergent. You need to keep paying your electricity bill to like use an iron, to use a microwave, use a stove, buy new clothes, wash your sheets. There's all these things that go into it that we don't think about on our day-to-day. Sadly enough, the couple of single mothers were interviewed here and they answered extensively on being pregnant, making sure to pick their kids up from daycare, on making sure food is cooked, that clothes are washed, sports practice, helping them with homework, and the unfortunate consequence of even having to put some of these responsibilities on their children at a young age. And of course, a couple of other answers were just being on call and just having to be responsible for that kind of thing. Multiple times it was mentioned that at the end of the day, they think it was worth it because they were able to put food on the table, regardless of all these struggles, which is still sad because they had to put their own body on the line, their own physical, mental conditions, their whole physical, mental, even social life on the line just to make sure their children grew to have a decently provider parent, a decently proactive and present parent. And it's really, I mean, yeah, that shit that's kind of what gets to me.
That's like time I don't get back, like with my kids. So I get mad kind of like at myself that like to have to work and go to work and work like that and be away from my kids and not like, you know, stable enough to like take them with me and have them there and do that. But like that's unrealistic. My first kid, like all of his second year and all of my first kids like first year of life, is like I don't remember it because I was working. Mom's not right there. But, oh, you like, okay, he likes Hot Wheels. Okay, I got him the biggest fucking Hot Wheels thing that I could find. Or, like, I could get him everything of anything that he wants, if that's what he likes, to make him happy for me, not always being able to be there. Like, the only shitty part is that I get to miss so much. And, like, it makes you kind of mad. Because, like, a man doesn't think of it like that. A man thinks of it like I'm working.
Where do we go from here? In good news, there was a conference in Odessa or Midland, I forgot. In the next 10-15 years or so, the workforce around here is gonna need almost 200,000 new workers. Other studies show that about 5% of all like welders are women. But on the bright side, another study done here at trade schools in New Mexico show that female participation in these trades, for instance welding, have been up to like 20% participation. So with the work, with the what is seeming like a rise of female participation in these blue-collar jobs, especially in the oil field, it's up to us. Set the example, I guess. Show that women are more than welcome here and they are more than capable to do the job here. So try not to be oppressive of any kind. Try not to be a loser. Try not to, you know, belittle these people. You feel me? It's new people getting into this field every day. And the worst you can do is, you know, leave a bad taste in their mouth. You feel me? Because at the end of the day, we're all the labor force and we're all here to protect each other. So everyone that comes out here, stay safe as always. Watch out for cows because they're beautiful animals. Because if we want to make any difference in our workplace and our work culture and how we're perceived by the rest of the public, the rest of society, change has got to start within us. Hopefully you can at least start today, tomorrow, with how you treat other people. Another fact that came from the University of New Mexico study was that over 70% of the participants admitted that they do not want their children getting into this line of work. Obviously things happen. I know my parents didn't want me getting into this line of work, and I'm sure most of the people watching can say the same thing. Me included. I really wouldn't want to see, if I have kids, I really wouldn't want to see them, you know, being subjected to this line of work, whether it be because of how dangerous it is, the culture of it, you know, obviously the long hours, because of circumstances or whatever, do have to end up in this line of work. I think it'd be better for us, for our parents, and for our future kids if we strive to make the oil field a better work environment.
Don't try to make it seem like only men can do it, because obviously only men are like, they're not the only ones that can do it. So like that kind of stereotype, once you get there, and like how a lot of people like treat a woman because of that, is very annoying.
I want to quote Thomas Sankara: "There can be no proud man without a woman. Every proud man, every strong man draws his energy from a woman. The endless source, the key to victories, always lies in the hands of a woman. It is at the side of a woman, like his sister, his companion, that each one of us finds a burst of honor and dignity."
Why you think I'm so lit? Why you think I'm so motivated? Hey, it's all in the partner. It's all in the bitch. You better choose your girl right. Fuck it.
There's really nothing else to add, I guess. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the antagonisms that we have toward female workers is pretty redundant in the grand scheme of things. I think the rest of the video kind of speaks for itself.